Hello fellow cineenthusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reelz movie review. Today is Classic Movie Thursdays here on my channel, my version of Throwback Thursdays. So today's classic movie I will be reviewing for you is The Last of Mrs. Cheyney, the 1929 version starring Norma Shearer and Basil Rathbone. Norma Shearer plays Faye Cheyney, who is supposed to be a wealthy widow of an Australian man living in England. Men have the hots for her. They just fall all over themselves for Faye. She's very flirtatious, very pretty, just seems like a very nice woman. And one of the guys who has the hots for her really bad to the point where he is like a predator is Lord Arthur Dilling, played by Basil Rathbone. He just will not give up his pursuit of Faye no matter what. Faye at one point during a party wants him to leave because he's just being annoying and he's being a predator, and then he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go, I'm gonna stick around and wait till after the party. So Faye is surprised to see him and he's still like, oh, go out with me please, I love you, all this stuff. And before he leaves, he says something like, oh, you're such a good woman, you'll make a good man out of me. And she's like, what if I were to tell you I'm not such a good woman? And he's like, what? You're not a good woman? You're gonna make a fool out of me. And she's like, no, I'm good. And then he's like, oh, okay, good, perfect. Such a freaking absolute disgusting hypocrite. And as soon as he leaves, Faye claims that she doesn't drink or smoke, and she immediately pours herself a drink and takes a drag on a cigarette. As it turns out, Faye is definitely not a very good woman. As I said, pulls out a cigarette and then pours herself a drink, and it turns out she works with a group of con artists, and the head guy is this guy named Charles. They're looking to get in on this like set of very rich English people that Arthur is a part of. They're looking to steal a set of pearls from Arthur's aunt that's worth about 50,000 pounds, and for this time 50,000 pounds could, like, this is 1929, that'd be like set for life pretty much, even if they split it between however many of them there were. The big test comes when Faye is finally invited to a party at Arthur's aunt's house. It's like kind of like a weekend party, and that's the plan, that at night she'll sneak out and of her room, go into the aunt's room and get the pearls, and then Charles will be waiting for her. Well, unfortunately, during this party, Arthur goes outside, I guess he, for some reason or whatever, and he hears Charles, and he hears, like, Charles does his bird call for Faye to be like, oh, hey, you know, like, I'm here, come out and talk to me. Arthur, also, a while back, Charles was playing the butler at her house, and Arthur was like, that guy looks really familiar, and then he puts two and two together at this party, and he's like, that guy I know in Monte Carlo, he tried to steal from me, but I didn't turn him in. So things start to unfold, of course. Faye doesn't get the pearls because Arthur catches her, and he is just, as I said, he is just a predator and a half. This guy is really sleazy. He's like, oh, I won't call the cops if you spend a night with me. Don't ring that house bell because then you alert everybody and our reputations are on the line. Well, you know what? She rings that bell and everybody comes, and he's like, you're my reputation. What are you doing to me? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, you know, Faye just winds up confessing. She's like, yes, I was going to steal the pearls. You can call the cops. Charles comes walking in. He's like, yeah, we were in on this the whole time. All this stuff, this nonsense. And of course, you know, like, Faye, this is pre-code. This is the pre-code movie, 1929. Faye does not go to jail. She is not like a fallen woman as, you know, it would go in later movies. And just Arthur at the end, in so many ways, he asks her to marry him. He's such a slime ball, and she's like, oh, of course I'll marry you. That's how the whole of The Last of Mrs. Cheyney goes. The cast was really good. Of course, you know, the main focus was on Norma Shearer and Basil Rathbone. I believe this was a Warner Brothers picture, and I believe at the time her husband Irving Thalberg, who was the famous MGM producer, was at Warner Brothers, so she was making films for Warner Brothers, and she looked great. I think Norma Shearer, she's very interesting to me as an actress, because I don't like her early films were not that good. I think like her later films, like Romeo and Juliet, The Women, Marie Antoinette, like it's like once her husband died and she didn't have that security for him to put her in movies, it's like, oh crap, I have to act. And you know, here her acting wasn't that great in The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. But there's something about Norma Shearer that I just love watching. She's so magnetic and you're so drawn to her, like you just cannot look away. So I get her appeal and why a lot of women, and you know, like why she had a lot of fans and why she was such a popular actress back in the day. And it's really cool. I noticed for like the first time really in this movie with Norma Shearer that she gives like the greatest eye rolls. It's like when her character is being cheeky and knows it, she gives like this great cheeky like grin and then like an eye roll. I can't really explain it. It's hard without like you guys to explain without you seeing it. And I loved it. I never noticed that before. And it just cracked me up. I'm like, that's good. That I like her reactions, and I thought that was really cool to see. Basil Rathbone, great actor, very great actor. I'm used to his later films, mostly in The Adventures of Robin Hood, and he does the bad guy, the sheriff from Nottingham. And I thought it was really cool to see him in an earlier movie when he was younger, and he was very suave. Like, I really liked Basil Rathbone. Hated the character, but Basil Rathbone was really good. The whole time I was thinking with the character of Arthur Dilling, I was like, oh my god, if this was made today, the Me Too movement would be having a fit. He was just that much of a predator and that much of like a slime, skeezing man who was just trying to get his way with a woman. He was terrible, but Basil Rathbone did a very good job playing Arthur. And also in this movie, if you guys aren't familiar with your film history at all, Hedda Harper, who was the famous film columnist, gossipist, whatever you want to call her, she had originally started out as an actress, and her acting career really didn't go anywhere. But she was in The Last of Mrs. Cheyney, and she played this lady, and she was in a few scenes here and there, and once I realized who she was in the movie, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she wasn't that bad. Like, she hammed it up a little bit. So it's interesting to see this woman who would become like the most reviled woman in all of old Hollywood, pretty much, her and Luella Parsons, be an actress in this movie with Norma Shearer. That was my review of The Last of Mrs. Cheyney from 1929. If you liked this review in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below if you have seen this version of The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. There is a 1937 version with Joan Crawford, and if for any of you, again, who don't know your film history, Norma Shearer and Joan Crawford did not get along. Joan Crawford did not like Norma Shearer. She saw Norma Shearer as a huge competition in the 30s, but I have yet to see that, and I don't know if I really want to see that. But anyway, so if you have seen the 1929 version, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this. I like it as a pre-code. Do you like it as a pre-code? What do you think of the acting, characters, whatever? Also in the comments, if you have any suggestions of what I should watch next, be them classic movies or new movies, leave them there. And if I pick your movie and I watch it and I review it, I will give you a shout out. How freaking cool is that? You guys get a shout out in a YouTube video. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future Classic Movie Thursdays and other Let's Get Reelz movie reviews. And as always, keep watching movies and stay absolutely fabulous.